felt like forever.
It has been a hot minute since we have definitely done this. You've been traveling. I've been traveling.
So
Yes,
busy. I'm knock on wood. I know this sounds funny here coming out of my mouth, but I'm knock on wood home for a month until Alaska.
same. I have no plans for a month. I'm going to be here for a month, and then I'll see you soon in Seattle, and then
Ooh,
on the side.
it's wild, but as much as I love traveling, I'm kind of enjoying this little home stint
Right,
for
I
a
agree.
bit. Like I kind of just need to be in my house. I have my beautiful patio set up on my deck and all my
Mhm.
vegetables and whatnot are coming in to bloom and my little oasis out there.
No, I agree. And I was thinking about this too. The last solstice class ship I did was with you in 2019 in Hawaii. So I have not done. I've done
It is.
seven a couple times, and then I've just lived on Edge class lately.
You have, I mean, I did the reflection in December,
Right, right.
which is solstice clash ish.
That's a solstice class.
It is, but I add the ish because there are some decent differences between the rest of them.
It's the most unique of the five.
Yeah. Pam's here. Emmy's here. Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, just like Emmy, make sure you add your name in. We have some cool things to talk about today.
We
Very,
do.
very
We do.
excited. And if
And, and,
you,
sorry, and sorry
um,
if I seem tired, guys. I'm a little jet lagged, but I'm hanging in there. I'm tired.
he's probably going to take a nap after this.
Probably.
And for those of you that are catching us on Facebook, remember we do have the official YouTube channel there. I'm actually working on a tips video that's going to go up there hopefully this week on where to check and find some of those airline price deals that Jason and I talk about. Lorette, hello.
Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you.
So good things to talk about today. I know that Jason's going to review his recent trip. We're going to talk about a couple news articles.
Pam, you already did. Already drank my Trenta cold brew this morning. Already
Pam,
drank it.
I'm so happy that you say Starbies because my husband makes fun of me for
So
calling it Starbies.
I just call it Starbs. Starbs. That's what I call it. Starbs.
That sounds so harsh.
Starbs. Or I sometimes just use the green heart. The green heart.
The
I like
green
the green
heart.
heart. Yeah.
When I was on property, I had in my frequent emojis the star and then the deer. So I would just drop the star and the deer in the group chat to see who wanted orders.
Well, it's like in my recent chat or my recent emoji history, it's always the blue heart and the blue polo emoji.
The other emoji that's in my frequents is the blonde girl like this.
Oh, I steal that one, even though I don't have the hair. I do steal that one. I steal that one a lot. I still.
Or I do the nail painting for some.
Oh, all right. Well, it is top of the hour. Let's get started, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Today in Travel. We've taken a couple weeks off. We've been traveling, but we're back. I am Jason Poole. I am a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, an American Express travel representative. Love all things cruising, land vacation. Just got back from Europe. We're going to talk about some of the Europe stuff. Haley, good morning. How are you? Introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Haley. I am the owner of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. Been in hotels for 15 years. Travel blog. Love Europe. Love cruising. Pretty much love it all. So we have a lot to talk about
We
today.
do have a lot, right? So,
So let's talk about your trip.
oh my gosh, it was great. So I spent 3 days in Barcelona before my cruise. Love Barcelona. Had a great time. Stayed at the Edition, which is a Marriott property. It's in a great location in Barcelona. It's a cute boutique style hotel. It's a truly beautiful property. I walked everywhere. I went to the opera one night, walked there, went to a few of my favorite restaurants in Barcelona, walked
Went
everywhere.
to my gin bar.
Your gin bar walk. I mean, it's actually pretty close to the gin bar. It's really close.
Very cool.
Had a great time. Just love Barcelona. And going to the opera there was cool. We'll talk a little bit more about the opera later for different reasons. And then I did a 9-night Western Mediterranean cruise on the Celebrity Beyond. So this is my second time on the Beyond. I did the inaugural. I loved it. I mean, it's Celebrity's newest, greatest ship. They have Daniel Boulud's first restaurant at sea, La Voyage, which is, I think it's the best meal I've ever eaten in my entire life. I went twice.
Wow.
It is spectacular. I went to a bunch of new places for the first time. Marseille. I went to Portofino, Santa Margarita, Capri. Is that all the new places?
I'm just going to give you the You went to Monaco?
I went to Monaco. That was Villefranche, Monaco. Went to Nice by accident. So we're on the train. I'm with my friend Dom, who Haley knows, and Rick. And we're on the train. I was like, guys, I think this is our stop. And if you guys know me, I am awful with directions. Awful. Okay. And I said, guys, I think this is our stop. And they're like, no, this isn't our stop. And I was like, okay. Next thing you know, we're in Nice. We had missed our stop. And I was like, I told you guys. So we walked around Nice for a second. And I was like, well, at least I can say I've been here now. And so we
you can't count that as been there.
So we took an Uber back to Villefranche, but it was great. I mean, it was just cool to go to some new places. Monaco it's like living in a different world. I mean, just everyone there is walking around with Dior, Hermes, Chanel, Louboutin. I mean, it's another world.
Playground for the rich.
It's playground for the rich. It was unbelievable. I mean, there's just an outdoor Vue bar, which we split a bottle of Vue Rosé. I mean, it was fun. I mean, the Western Med those cruises are port intensive, right? And we went to a lot of fun places, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, summer in the Med is kind of what I want to do, I think, every year, right? I used to do summer in the Caribbean. Now I want to do summer in the Med every year.
It's your home. Dan is curious as to why there was no full production of Dear Evan Hansen in Barcelona.
Moving on. I'm moving on.
I had to try and find in there. So that brings us to a question here, Jason. Eastern versus Western.
That's a great question, right? So for those of you who don't know, Western Med is typically going to be Barcelona, France, and Italy. Eastern Med is typically going to be Italy, Greece. Sometimes they'll throw in a Croatia on the Eastern, but that's
the Dalmatian coast on the Adriatic. Yeah,
that's kind of typically. Some of the Westerns will throw in, I mean, but that's typically it, right? So I've done a lot of Eastern Med. I've been to Greece a few times. I've done repositioning cruises that ended in the Western Med. I did the inaugural, started in England and ended in Barcelona. So that was kind of like western coast of Europe. This was my first true Western Med sailing. And I kind of have some different thoughts about Eastern versus Western. I think Western Med is actually more exhausting than Eastern Med.
Okay.
Because Eastern Med, a lot of the ports are Greece, and a lot of the Greek islands, there's not a ton to explore. It's find a beach club, find a beach, and just kind of chill on the beach, right? Or just kind of walk around town, have some drinks, get back to the ship, right? There's not a lot of get on a ferry for an hour and come back. There's not a ton of all day walking tours Greece is very much a more just like chilled, laid back itinerary. Minus Athens. I mean, Athens is a full day of touring all the historical sites, of course. But the like Mykonos, Santorini, those are just easy, relaxing days. Western Med, you have so like when you dock in Naples, there's so much to do there. You know, you can go.
You have a lot of choices. There's Pompeii,
Lot of-
there's the Amalfi Coast, there's Capri, I mean, and really with the trains there, you can do quite a bit in other
you,
directions too.
you could do a lot. I mean, think about when we were in Villafrance. Some people went to Nice, some people stayed in Villafrance. I went to Monaco. Right? There's just lots of options.
You can even
So,
put hands on that.
oh, you could, and people have. Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
west. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think if you're wanting to see more of like traditional Europe, see some history, I think it's Western Med. If you're wanting a more relaxing, beautiful scenery, a little bit more chill, I think it's Eastern Med. So I love them both. I love
Speaking
them
of
both.
that, we do have a question here. Dan wants to know if you've done Malta. I have not done Malta.
I've been to
You have.
Malta. hmm
What are your thoughts on Malta?
You know, it was beautiful. I need to give it another chance because we docked on a Sunday, and it's a pretty Catholic country. So a lot of the stores and the shops and the restaurants were closed.
And that's something to keep in mind wherever you guys travel. I know when I went to Cuba, we were there on a Sunday. So there was
Right.
quite a bit not open
Right.
at all, or
Right.
it didn't open until the later afternoon. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, but Malta's beautiful, but I'd love to go on a non-Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, keeping it on the cruise topic, there were a couple articles, the Wall Street Journal, Yahoo had one out that cruises are the cheapest way to travel this summer. Why is that, Jason?
You know, so I mean, let's just be honest. A lot of cruise ships are not selling out. Okay, some are, right? Especially the mass market family cruise ships. Now that it's summer break, kids are out of school. Some of those are selling out, right? You know, your newer Norwegian ships, your newer Royal Caribbean ships. You know, those are doing very well. But a lot of the ships are not selling out because the demand from first-time cruisers has still not returned to pre-pandemic. Case in point, I'm in Monaco. We're chilling, having a glass of the rosé. We meet these 4 women next to us. Very nice. They're from the States. We told them we were on a cruise, and they were like, "Oh my God, does everyone get COVID on a cruise?" And I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
I said, no. I said,
I
it's
want to
actually
single people when I hear it.
I was like, it's actually safer than going to your hotel or flying because you have to be vaccinated to go on the cruise. You have to be tested, to get on the ship, yada, yada, yada. The staff is tested regularly, right? So I still think there is that mentality of like, you're going to get sick on a cruise, and that's just insane. So I think that's why cruises are cheap. Cruises are cheap too, are good value because so much of your expenses are included, right? Your most of your meals. If you book a cruise line that has drink packages included, your drinks are included, your entertainment is included, right? So it's definitely if you go like on a newer, nicer ship, some of the shows are just like the Celebrity Beyond shows were just, I mean, they were out of this world. I mean, they were so good. There were shows.
So much of the hassle out of planning a trip sometimes when
Yes.
you're like, oh, what am I going to do when I get there? It's like, the ship is also the destination.
Trip to destination, and Celebrity Beyond is definitely a destination. So
I mean, that kind of rolls into now what we're also seeing, which Jeff and I thought this was really funny with NCL dropping their COVID testing requirements for some sailings. It's so funny because they held out for so long. They were so strict, and now they're the first ones. What's your take on that?
yeah, so Norwegian, the parent company, is saying cruise is starting next month, not from the U.S., not from Canada or not from Greece, which, let's be honest, that's a huge portion of their sailings, are not going to require COVID testing. Holland America has kind of a similar thing. So we're in Viking, kind of something similar. So we're starting to see some of these cruise lines kind of flirt with the idea of not requiring COVID testing. The cruise lines are working, the ones that sail out of the United States are working with the CDC to try to see what they think. They are not going to do anything without the CDC's recommendation. The last thing these cruise lines need are the CDC issuing a warning of like, don't cruise, right? Because the hardcore cruiser, I'm sorry, the non-hardcore cruisers listen to that and they're like, I'm not going to go. So I don't know how I feel about not requiring a COVID test, but I guess, I mean, cruise ships are different than going to a theme park. I mean, let's just say
there is some differences. I mean, eventually I feel like it's going to go back to where it was, where we didn't need it. I just don't think we're that far out of it. I mean, like, you know, it's trending well that a lot of these variants are becoming less and less, you know, detrimental. But it almost seems a little early to flirt with that idea. But then again, not my expertise.
It doesn't bother me doing the testing. You know, that was before the trip. I try to be a little bit more like, hey, let's stay at home, let's chill. Right. So yeah. So
no, I don't blame you. But you know, speaking of travel, Europe, I've seen so many articles, and you and I have talked about it. It's cheaper for Americans for the first time in like 20 years.
Yeah, so, I mean, so while I was in Europe, the euro went negative to the dollar. Like, so $1 was 0.98 euros. So your money goes quite a bit further in Europe, including against the pound. I mean, it's not 1-to-1. You know, yet there.
Is obnoxious.
It is. But yeah, I mean, your money goes further. And look, minus London, minus Portofino, minus Monaco, most of Europe is pretty affordable, right? Yes, it's not cheap as far as the flights, right? If you stay at a nice hotel, but that's the same way it is here in the States. Once you're there, I mean, the food, the drink, entertainment is actually pretty affordable. I mean, I went to an opera in Spain with one of the world's greatest conductors. I kind of fangirled when I saw them come out. I had great seats, and my ticket price was very affordable compared to what I'd pay if I saw it at the Met in New York.
Oh, so, and I mean, I did that video like on Rome too, like where you can eat and drink in Rome for 20 euros in a day.
Right, absolutely.
And that's not buying your own groceries. That's like eating out. You know, it's super affordable. I remember when I was there in November, my friend and I went out to dinner. We had, like 2 or 3 appetizers. We each had an entree. We had a bottle of wine, and then we each had dessert, and it was like 50 or 60 euros.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Like, you can't do that here.
And when you think that because they pay their employees better than we do in the States, and they don't rely on tips, you're not spending that much money plus 20% on the tips.
They almost get insulted if you like tip in like a couple of years. Like,
I was in Santorini in the fall, and this waitress got us this amazing seat against the water. I don't know how we got it. And we watched the sunset, but we were there late. It was just a fantastic view. We had a bunch of cocktails, and I don't remember what it was. Let's just say the check was like 80 euros. I just threw down 100 and was like, thanks so much, walked away. She came running after me in the streets of Greece to give me my change. And I said, no, it's fine, keep it. It's fine. And she was like, no, that's too much, right? So she was almost offended that I was going to give her, 20 euros for a tip. So,
But yeah, no, I mean, that's a whole thing. But yeah, guys, plan your trips to Europe. And even right now, I've been buying euros because of the low rate just to have, because if the euro ever spikes, I could just exchange my money back.
look, I came home with hundreds of euros for my next trip.
Yeah, I mean, I always, Jeff jokes that we always find random euros in my desk.
Just like, oh, there's some euros. Right.
Come back, like, oh, look, here's a euro. But I mean, now it's even a great time if you guys plan a little trip if you're looking for a designer bag. With the designer bags are cheaper over there, plus you get the VAT back, and then with that exchange, I mean,
the VAT back. We're not going to talk. I didn't get mine, but it's the whole story. It's a whole story.
I'm sure it is. So I know that Jason's going to tune out on this topic.
No.
Fair, balanced, and unafraid. You guys don't hear us talk about IHG a lot. It's not necessarily it's definitely not my favorite brand to work with on the work side of things. But, I tend to lean a bit more on, my Marriott stuff here, Hilton, Hyatt. But IHG has some really neat things for you to consider right now. So IHG, we talked about this a couple months ago, revamped the rewards program. It's now IHG One Rewards. They are doing a status match to their 2 top tiers right now. If you stay anywhere from 5 to 10 nights through the rest of the year, you will earn either diamond or platinum status. That's good for the whole next year from whenever you attain it. They're also doing 100% point purchase promo right now. So if you buy 100,000 points, you're going to get 200,000 points. And they're doing a promo with their credit card right now for 140,000 points. And when you book a stay with your IHG Rewards credit card, you get the 4th night free. So there are a lot of points hacking options right now between that credit card, buying points. So something for you guys definitely to consider. I'm kind of keeping my eye on it on, Hotel World, because man, if I can get a quick status and stay at maybe a nice Kimpton or one of their Maldives properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely wonderful. All right. So we got a question here.
Okay.
Jason, you asked me this morning to discuss this today. Is it worth learning a language for traveling? I personally love languages. I love dipping into them. Because I like to at least get the basics. I want to be able to order food. I want to say, please, thank you, ask how much this is. And I think because I started learning, Spanish when I was 5, at least in that Latin-based romantic languages, if I can get an idea of how they conjugate their verbs, I can kind of work my way through. But myself, I speak Spanish. I'm conversational French, Italian, and sign language. So, Jason, what are your language backs of? Like, what brought you to this point?
So, I'll be honest. I've always struggled with languages, like foreign languages. Even in high school, like I barely got B's in Spanish 1 and 2 in high school. Okay, like I just really struggled not speaking it. It was always like the test and the grammar and spelling it. Like I really struggled with that. But as my travel has shifted more internationally, I used to do a ton of just, Caribbean cruises back in the day. But as I've started to really try to dig into Europe a lot more, I want to continue that. I mean, it's at the point where I want to spending like weeks at a time in Europe, like even like land, like, rent a place, right? And I just don't want to be that dumb American who doesn't know any Spanish if I'm in Spain or any Italian if I'm in Italy. So I've kind of had the thought of, if I'm going to continue traveling, like I think it would behoove me to know at least some of it. And it kind of hit me too, because when I was at the opera in Barcelona, It was a German opera, so they were singing in German, and the subtitles were in Catalan. So I had, and if you guys don't know, that region of Spain kind of has their own dialect. Like the Barcelona region, they have their own dialect. So I'm sitting there watching the opera. The music is great. The venue's beautiful. I didn't know the opera that well before. If it had been a different opera, I would know what was going on. But I really didn't know what was going on in parts of it. And everyone around me would laugh or like gasp. And I was just kind of like, I was completely clueless as to what was going on. And I'm like, I don't love that, right? Because I want to continue to go to Europe. I want to continue to do things like go to the opera or go to a play, do stuff like that in Europe. I want to be able to speak to my hotel staff or, speak to people that I meet at a bar, or, so.
Well, especially depending on where you are in Europe. Like, for example, like when I spent my first 2 weeks in Italy, Rome, there was quite a bit more English than I anticipated.
Yes.
I mean, still obviously pretty heavy Italian, but when we went down to Positano for the week, and I noticed the higher up you were in Positano, lack of English, like big lack of English. And I mean, it is, you're in Italy, they speak Italian, but yeah, depending on where you're going, you kind of need
to. For example, like I went to when I was in Marseille, I went to a restaurant for lunch. The server did speak some English, but the menu was all French. Asked if there was an English menu. He said no. I was like,
that's how you know you're in a good spot, though.
Right. So I was like, it looked like where the locals were, right? And it was a great meal. And thank God for the Google Translate app with the camera, right? But I literally was using the Translate app to translate, and I just pointed to what I wanted. And so I just kind of think, if as I continue to travel, I really think I need to do something like, I know like Rosetta Stone has like, an iPhone, iPad app that people say is really good.
So Rosetta Stone actually has a really great 6-week travel oriented learning plan, which I recommend. That's how I brushed up on my French before my first trip to Paris, because it's been a hot minute since I used it. Because when you don't use it all the time, you lose some of it. That's why I'm very like Olivia. During the school year, she takes Spanish, plus she has 2 private tutoring lessons in Spanish and 2 in French. My goal is to make her multilingual here. I would say my recommendation is, if you're going to be doing Europe a bit more, especially Mediterranean, I would start with Spanish. Now, remember, there's going to be 2 forms of Spanish. You have Latin America Spanish, and then you have Spain Spanish, which is a bit different. But it's not super different. Honestly, I've been learning probably more Latin America Spanish, and there are some quirks, but nothing crazy, because I found knowing Spanish made Italian really, really easy, because there's a lot of similarities there.
Okay, right.
And it did give me some understanding to French, because they're all those Latin rooted languages. Like, in Spanish, like man is hombre, in Italian it's l'uomo, and then in French it's l'homme. So there's all those kind of connections.
Right.
You pick them up that way.
Nice.
But I'm a huge fan of it. I highly recommend it.
I didn't know they had a 6-week travel. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't need to know like boy kicks ball in Spanish.
Right.
But there are travel oriented ones.
Well, speaking of travel oriented, we have a good tip of the day. People ask me all the time, what do I need to go to Europe? What do I need to go to Europe? And you need a multi-port adapter. Now, if you've never been to Europe, like, what is that, right? The plugs in different countries are not the same as America. Now, that doesn't mean if you're in an American-based hotel, like the Edition. I think it had one American port, I think.
I think you're right.
I think it had like one. Might have even just like a USB charger or something. But most of the ports are they're different, and you really need to have an adapter. Haley was going to drop. She's going to drop a link in the
right now.
our Facebook group. This is a great one. This gets you in the UK. It works in Europe. I mean, it's just a great way. And guys, if you're cruising, even if you're doing like a cruise in the Caribbean, the rooms typically have a European plug in them. So that gets you one more outlet for your cabin on a cruise. So I've done that before. I've plopped in my adapter in the cruise and got an extra charger. So.
And the one I'm putting in here, guys, it is a Prime Day special. It's Prime Day, everybody.
Oh, it is Prime Day. That's right. Okay.
It is on sale because you can buy, technically speaking, you could buy like an EU one for a few dollars and then this for a few dollars. This one's nice because it does all in one. So you're not going through and picking out which adapter you need. And then it also has multi USB links in the bottom of it too. So I'm also going to be posting some Prime Day travel stuff in the group these next couple of days, like that that turtleneck pillow that my chiropractor recommended is on Prime Day promo too. So if you guys see Prime Day items that are travel focused, please drop them in the group too. This is a great time to stock up on some travel favorites.
Well, Haley, it was great to catch up after 2 weeks, and hope you guys didn't mind all of the Insta stories and Facebook posts, and it was just a great time. So,
all right, awesome. Well, Jason, go take a nap.
I have a few more hours to work, but I'll try this afternoon.
All right.
Okay, talk to you later.
Everybody.